Good morning, class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, ma'am.
For today's lesson, we will discuss about speech acts. What do you think are speech acts?
So, speech act. Speech act are acts of communication, or it is a action in communicating people.
Very good! To communicate is to express a certain attitude, and the type of speech act being performed corresponds to the type of attitude being expressed. For example, a statement expresses a belief, a request expresses a desire, and an apology expresses a regret. As an act of communication, a speech act succeeds if the audience identifies in accordance with the speaker's intention, the attitude being expressed. So there are three types of acts in the speech acts. They are locutionary, allocutionary, and perlocutionary. The first act is locutionary speech act, which is the basic production of meaningful utterance. This act is much related to the hearer. If the hearer fails to understand what the speaker is saying, then the speaker has failed to do the elocutionary act. For example, when a person from Indonesia, he's in America, for instance, talks to an American in Bahasa Apa Kabar Pak in English, this utterance will not produce what is called a meaningful linguistic expression. On the contrary, when the speaker said, "How are you, sir?" then the American would understand, and it is a form of locutionary act. Okay, who can give another example?
For example, the phrase, "don't do that," a locutionary act with distinct phonetic, synthetic, and semantic features which corresponds to meaning, is an utterance serving as a warning to the listener to not to do the thing they are currently doing as to do.
That is correct. The second act is what we call a locutionary act. In uttering a sentence or word, one must have a certain intention. Most of the time, people produce well-formed utterances for a purpose, for instance, the need to communicate something to someone or to provide facts. An illocutionary act is accomplished via utterance with a communicative intention. A speaker may perform a locutionary act to make a promise, offer, explanation. Can someone give me an example?
Can I get you to open the window? It has structure, locutionary first, and in a linguistic meaning, will I be able to successfully getting you to open the window? But a locutionary force is different. It has the force of being a polite imperative rather. Like for example, please open the window.
Perfect! Now the third act is perlocutionary. Perlocutionary act talks about producing the effect of the meaningful, intentional utterance. While making utterance that intend to make someone to drink coffee is successfully performed, the effect is that someone actually drank the coffee is also known as perlocutionary effect. Who can give me an example?
When a boy says to a girl, "you're beautiful," if the girl is attracted to a boy, usually the girl will blush and feel happy. But on the contrary, if the girl is not attracted to the speaker, then usually she will only say thank you and don't feel as happy as in the first case.
Yes, that's correct. Now, can someone tell me again what are the differences between the three speech acts?
Locutionary act is the action of making a meaningful utterance, and elocutionary act is performing an intentional utterance. Perlocutionary act talks about producing the effect of the meaningful, intentional utterance.
In conclusion, locutionary act is the production of meaningful utterances and expressions. For example, go away, which leads to a locutionary act, the intention of producing meaningful expression, for example, promises, offering, etc., which causes the performance of perlocutionary act, which is the effect of the locutionary and illocutionary act. For example, behavior, feeling, belief, etc. Example, yes.
Somebody says, "Is there any salt at the dinner table?" The illocutionary act is a request. "Please give me some salt." Even though the locutionary act or the literal sentence was to ask a question about the presence of salt, the perlocutionary act or the actual effect might to cause somebody to pass the salt.
Well done. Now let's proceed to the classification of speech acts. Speech acts are classified into 5 categories, which are representatives, directives, commissives, expressive, and declaratives. Let us first discuss representatives. Okay, what are representatives?
So, representatives are speech acts that the utterance commit the speaker to the truth of the expressed proposition. The utterance are produced based on the speaker's observation of certain things, then followed by stating the fact or opinion based on the observation. Representatives act or representative speech act can be noted by some speech acts verb such as remind, tell, assert, deny, connect, state, guess, predict, report, describe, inform, insist, assure, agree, claim, believes, and conclude.
Okay, thank you. For example, when someone says the earth is flat, it represents the speaker's assertions about the earth. The speaker has opinion that the earth is flat. Next is directives.
Directives are just speech acts that speaker uses to get someone else to do something. These speech acts including requesting, questioning, command, orders, and suggesting. For example, when someone says, "Could you lend me a pencil, please?" The utterance represents the speaker request that the hearer to do something, which is to lend him a pencil.
How about commissives?
Commissive or commissives is a speech act that the utterances commit the speaker to some future course of action. This include promising, threatening, refusal, offering, and pledges. Like for example, when someone says that "I'll be back" represents the speaker's promise that he or she will be back.
Okay, very good. What are expressive speech acts?
Expressive or speech acts that the utterances express a psychological state. These speech acts includes thanking, apologizing, welcoming, and congratulating. For example, when someone says, "Don't be shy, my home is your home," the utterances represents that the speaker expressions or speaker's expression that he or she welcomes someone.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. And the last speech act is declarations.
Are speech acts that the utterances effect immediate change in the institutional state of affairs and which tend to rely on elaborate extra-linguistic institutions. These speech acts include excommunicating, declaring war, christening, firing from employment, or, for example, "You are dead to me."
Very good! Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, I will give you a task. In this task, you must do a creative presentation regarding the 5 classification of speech acts. It depends on you on how you will present your assigned speech act. I'll give you 3 minutes to prepare. After your classmate has finished with his or her presentation, each of you will share what you have learned, ask questions, or give comments to your classmate's presentation. Now let us begin.
A few moments later.
Okay, ma'am, I just want to share some understanding or self-realization after our discussion. So, in situation one, I really believe that to communicate is to express our feelings or understanding or learnings to other people. It is also one way of making ourselves self improve or like accepting a kind of process that where we helped ourselves to adapt into a kind of development where we allow ourselves we allow ourselves to accept any kind of correction if we made mistakes, and to communicate is one way of telling ourselves that we want to learn what other people are going to say about us or what people are going to share about us. So communication is one way of making a step of improvement, either it is through written or spoken communication, written or spoken communication. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Wow! Job well done, guys! All of you did your best, and I can say that you guys really apply what you have learned from our discussion to your task. You explained it well and provided example that relates to your assigned speech acts. Okay, give yourselves a round of applause. You guys really deserve it. Congratulations! Good morning, class! Before we proceed in discussing your topic for today, I will first introduce to you our objectives for this lesson. Your goal is to be able to communicate various events in your lives by combining words into sentences and increase your expressive language. Now, let's have a short or just a brief debate regarding on whether you agree or not to get vaccinated. Let's say that this group agrees to get vaccinated while this group disagrees. Okay, I will give you 1 minute to discuss your thoughts with your group.
A few moments later.
Okay, time is up. Let's begin.
The vaccine is safe because vaccines were developed using science that has been around for decades. The vaccines are not experimental. They went through all the required stages of clinical trials. Extensive testing and monitoring have shown that these vaccines are safe and effective, and the vaccines have received and continue to undergo the most intensive safety monitoring.
For some people, they could have a long-term side effects. Lucky for those people who gets to have the short-term side effects. So according to the research, side effects usually occur within the first few days of getting a vaccine. Since the first mass vaccination program started in early December 2020, hundreds of millions of vaccines thus have administered. There have been concerns about COVID-19 vaccines making people sick with COVID-19.
The vaccines are effective. They can keep you from getting and spreading the virus that causes COVID 19. It also helps keep you from getting seriously ill even if you don't get COVID 19. Getting vaccinated yourself may also protect people around you, particularly people at increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19.
Okay. Fully vaccinated doesn't mean that people are immune to COVID 19. As restrictions and mask mandate are dropped around the country, people who are fully vaccinated might be feeling the return to normal fantasy. But as what the Dr. Cardona said or warns that now isn't the time to let your guard down. While the vaccines are potent, there's still a chance that you could become infected. Fully vaccinated means that you completed COVID-19 vaccine series as what recommended for the best protection against severe complications such as hospitalization and or even death. No vaccines offer 100% protection against illness. Yet it does give you a better chance or to fight for the infectious consequences of being exposed to the SARS of COVID-19 COVID-2 virus. But there's still a 100% sure that you are safe from it.
The World Health Organization not only advises that vaccines save millions of lives each year, but also reduce transmissions. Vaccines work by training and preparing the body's natural defenses, which is our immune systems, to recognize the fight of the viruses they target. The vaccines does not make you sick with COVID-19 as none of the COVID-19 vaccines contains the live virus.
Hi guys, I am Jenaline Humawan and I am encouraging you to get vaccinated because it's really proven, and as a proof, I already got the first dose and I have the COVID-19 vaccination card. I hope guys nga magpa-vaksina ta so that we will have again the normal or the mubalik na sa normal nga dagat sa panahon. Then hope nga wala ninyo inyong haka-haka or kahadlok about sa vaccine, because ang akwang vaccine is Sinovac. Wala raman pud ko gihilantan or something inana, but hope nga magpa-vaksina ta.
Very good, everyone, for doing your best. Congratulations and give yourselves a round of applause.